Hello everybody, this is Michael with Haven Ridge Adventures. Today, I want to show you some other things we do other than just overlanding. Because that's not everything, even though overlanding is life. So, we love to garden. So I figured I'd show you on a little walk around the garden. That might be kind of cool. Right here off the porch we got blueberry bushes. We got 4 blueberry bushes right there. And yeah, they're the 3 right here closest to us are second year plants. And the far one is a couple years old we got from a neighbor. We love strawberries. So the kind we have, the June bearing strawberries, send out runners like crazy. So we replant them in a lot of different places. So we have lots of strawberries. We're going to have tons. And then moving over to this bed, we got onions and garlic. We have sage, and we have some Swiss chard coming up there on the left. And then back behind here in these little pockets, we have a bunch of different kinds of peppers and some oregano and garlic and more sage in that planter. So things are looking good. Things are growing really well. We also have a bunch of marigolds here that we're ready to plant around our raised beds to protect against bugs. We really like the idea of sustainable gardening, meaning low maintenance. So, as you can see here, that's a huckleberry bush I dug out of the woods behind our house and replanted here. And it's doing pretty well. This one is doing fairly well. Just the second year that they've been in, so we'll see how well they do. This raised bed, we got marigolds around the edge. This is a bean bed, although this Swiss chard grew up and went to seed. So I just let things go. You'll see random plants around raised beds, like the garlic mixed in there. Mostly beans though. It's a bean bed. So things are starting to come up pretty well. Yeah, I like that, just kind of letting things go as they intend to, as they want to. Here's a little bed of potatoes with some onions growing in it also. And then over here's our little zen area. I'll show you that in a minute. Just a nice little area to sit in the chairs and nice cool in the shade. And I planted those ferns from the woods. Same kind of thing. So moving on over here, we got other strawberries. These are not the kind that send out runners. I forget what kind they are. But last year was the first year of them, or second year, and they did grow some little strawberries. And if you see the bubbles, that's courtesy of Cassidy playing bubbles. Alright, so this bed is predominantly beans, although you'll see the marigolds around the edges for bug protection, and you'll see some garlic in there also. I use a lot of compost, our own compost in our garden, so that's why random things come up sometimes, just the seeds from the compost stuff. We also try to make things look pretty, so this is a cool little area. We had 2 huckleberry bushes. One of them died. As you can see, that one's still living. It's got green on it. But we decorate our garden with rocks and driftwood and stuff that we find while we're out on our adventures. And these are some peppers. As you can see, some mucho nacho jalapeno peppers, some serranos, some Tabasco hot peppers. The pepper starts I got from a neighbor. She always hooks us up with starts. She can grow anything. She has the most amazing green thumb in the world. That's some pepperoncinis and some Tabasco hot peppers. Moving on to this bed, you'll see some nasturtiums. That's a nasturtium. And then these are Brussels sprouts, as well as the marigolds and volunteer tomato plants. See the volunteer tomato plants from last year? Like I said, I just let things go. Let it go. If they grow, they grow. If I gotta thin them, I can. Whatever. This side is supposed to be cucumbers. I'm not a master gardener, but we got 1 cucumber coming up. So gardening's a lot of fun. It's very therapeutic for me, getting out and gardening and making the yard look nice, and also all the food. Kids love it. Just running around, so much healthy food, running around the garden and just chowing beans, peas, strawberries, blueberries, huckleberries, grapes, all the stuff we grow that I'll show you in just a minute is so good and so healthy for them. So our June bearing strawberries. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe you can see down there. There's a little bed I built on the end of this bed, and I put in 4 June bearing strawberry plants, not knowing that they send out runners. So the pathways are all full of them. And then what they did is they sent out runners to this raised bed, and so I let them. I just let them take over the entire raised bed. So we're gonna have a lot of strawberries. Cannot wait. See all the pretty flowers and bees. We have neighbors that keep bees, so we always have lots of bees around here. It's an amazing place to garden here in, you know, Western Washington. Long growing season, and I choose raised beds just because the soil is rocky and it's nice. And you'll see my raised beds are made out of all kinds of stuff, like these cores. That one's made out of cores. You'll see over there, you know, logs. You'll see some lumber. I just make do. I'm kind of the MacGyver of gardening. I just kind of figure it out. These are some parsnips that were left over from last year that is growing up. I'm going to let them go to seed, replant themselves, and take care of it. There's also random potatoes everywhere in my garden. And this is those, supposed to be beets in this side of the raised bed. And then this side is supposed to be cabbage, which I don't know. I thought I saw a cabbage coming up, but it's still fairly early in the season. So it is what it is. This raised bed is our tallest raised bed. I took a big table and I just split it in half, put logs on the ends, filled it full of soil, and that's a raised bed. You'll see this is all potatoes. I hear little one crying. I better go check and see how she's doing. Little one spilled her bubbles. So she was having a little minor meltdown. Actually, one thing I'll show you here is on the end of the strawberry bed is grapes. I just put one of those cattle panel fences, and the grapes are second year, so they're growing up over that, and I just made a little archway there. Thought it'd be cool. And there's some driftwood from one of our adventures. Random potatoes and beets from last year. I'm letting them seed, and the parsnips are going crazy. Just gonna let them do their thing. I did plant some peas there in the middle, as you can see. Some couple carrots going to seed. I'm gonna let them. Notice that? Yeah, just let things go. Over here I have some potatoes that were supposed to be there, and kale that I did trim back, so it'll start coming back shortly. It's already coming back in some places. There's purple cabbage, there's regular cabbage, and then there's some beets that are going to seed. Same thing, let them go. Here's a pile of mint, and there's oregano in there also, and spearmint and lemon balm. So those are all really good herbs to have. This is a cool area. We had 2 of those huckleberries in here. They didn't make it, so we put some of those pepper starts from the neighbor, jalapeno no heat and butterbell sweet bell peppers. And these are a bunch of cool rocks we found from our adventures around overlanding. So that's what we try to do, keep things cool, interesting. Lots of garlic in this bed. This is one of my first beds, just made out of logs from the property. And yeah, they'll last quite a while, and then I know they'll rot away and we'll have to replenish them. But we got onions. This is the onion and garlic bed. And yes, I know, they're going to seed. I let them. Just let them go. Alright, so circling around here, kind of seeing the Zen area, we got our rhubarb and more garlic in this little container here. This little container I built from, shelves from something, piece of furniture that we're going to throw away. Anyway, but yeah, you'll see these. I don't know what these are, but they were out in the woods behind our house. They're not natural, and somebody planted them. But I just replanted some here to make the Zen area a little bit nicer. There's the ferns. We got some more shells and stuff we found while we were out on adventures. Over here, some more rocks. We got another potato bed going on here. This bed has some potatoes in it, but the main thing for this bed is you see the asparagus. And these are second year plants, so they will be good to eat next year. And there's a bean in there, and there's some potatoes. But here's another example of the blueberry or the huckleberries that I planted from the woods. That one's doing, it's alive, but this one's doing really well. And we're actually going to get some huckleberries, as you can see right there. So that'll be really cool. I'm excited about that. We also have plum trees. If you see that plum tree, I know there's a lot of green in the background, but that's one of our plum trees. And then that one over right there next to it, right there, is another plum tree. This is something you may not have heard about. Sunchokes, aka Jerusalem artichokes. They're not from Jerusalem. They're native to North America, and they're not artichokes. So I don't know where that name came from, but I call them sunchokes, Jerusalem artichokes. They grow about 12 to 15 foot tall. They do have a yellow flower, kind of like a sunflower, so I get where that comes from. But what they are is they're tubers, like potatoes. You can cook them any way you cook potatoes. They're low on the glycemic index, so they're good for diabetics. There's one drawback to Jerusalem artichokes. They're drought resistant, they're really high in protein, but they can cause gas. So what I do is when I'm cooking them, I cut them. I put about 25% Jerusalem artichokes, 75% potatoes, and I just cook them up. One thing is, if you're doing that, the Jerusalem artichokes cook faster, so start your potatoes first and then add in your Jerusalem artichokes. Really good thing to grow though. Native Americans used to plant them along their trade routes or hunting routes and stuff, so they'd always have food when they're out and about. So look into Jerusalem artichokes, aka sunchokes. Here we got carrots coming up in this half of the bed, and then this other half of the bed are those summer squash, the yellow crookneck squash. They're doing pretty well, but you know, still early in the season, so things are coming in, and you'll see weird random things coming out of my beds. That's all just stuff to compost down and let nature take care of itself. I really like that approach, as you can tell. Here, this raised bed is supposed to be zucchini, which there's quite a few zucchini in there also, but there's the random potatoes. There's also this looks like purple cabbage or kohlrabi. I don't know.
It's not kohlrabi.
So there's that bed. Another potato area here. It's an in-ground area that we just edged with rocks and stuff like that. It's actually my son Garen had dug a huge hole there. We were actually thinking about using it as kind of like a little root cellar or something like that. But then we were going to sell our house and move out of this state that, anyway, not going to go down that path on this channel. So we decided to stay. But we filled it in when we were thinking about selling the house. And so it still sinks. So I don't know if you could tell on the camera, but it's kind of sunken in. So we keep adding soil to it. But that's a good potato area. This area I had some squashes in last year, but I'm not doing anything with it this year. Another one of those, see my redneck raised beds? Yeah. I think they're kind of cool looking though. This is where we have tomatoes usually. That's why I have the posts strung up, so I can string twine in between the posts to hold up the tomatoes. But we don't have our tomato starts yet from our neighbor. There are some volunteering themselves in there, as you can see. And of course, potatoes. I'm going to leave them be until I decide how many starts we're getting and stuff like that, and then see what I'll do from there. This whole bed here, down to that break, is peas. 3 rows of peas. So we should have lots of peas coming up. Some are already starting. Strawberries. More of those strawberries to send out runners, the June-bearing strawberries. But as you can tell, there's Cassidy going by practicing her balancing act. As you can tell, the deer like the strawberry leaves, so I need to do something about deer, but they're going to grow regardless. I mean, we have so many strawberries. As you can see, they already have strawberries. They're going to get ripe soon, and the leaves grow back so fast that they'll be fine. Over here, and yes, don't knock my yard maintenance. I know I need to keep up on it, but this is a fig tree, second year. Started off as just a little stick last year. This bed is made out of leftover metal roofing panels we found behind the shed from our house being built, with some garlic in it, and then 3 rows of peas that just kind of barely starting to come up now. But that's a really good bed because it retains the heat. It's in a really good location for the sun, and the metal helps absorb the heat into the soil. So that's a really good producing bed. And you might ask about the soil I put in my beds. I put in our local topsoil place has, it's a garden mix, half topsoil, half mushroom compost. So that's what I use. Here is another fig tree. And then we got another plum tree over there also. But so yeah, that's another thing we like to do is garden, grow our own food. It's healthy, it's natural, it's good for you. The kids love it. It's therapeutic to get out and weed and water and grow. And just watching things grow is really fun. So we enjoy it. And yeah, we also love overlanding. But just want to show you guys around a little bit about what else we kind of do around here. We love gardening. Have a wonderful day. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you soon.